DBS Plays. Hey folks, welcome back to DBS Plays, where we are continuing with Sonic Advance 1 with and this time we're going to be using Tails in the game. So let us get started with Tails. There's no cheats this time to do that. Let's see here. So, gosh, a lot's happened since, well, not a lot, but like quite a few things to talk about, I guess, but we'll see how much I can actually talk about it. But anyway. So, yeah, I'm using Tails now. And I remember whenever I first had this game, it was like I got it for Christmas of 2002. First character I used was Knuckles, but first character I used was Knuckles, and because for some reason, I didn't know really anything about the characters at this point. I just liked how it looked. Like, I remember whenever I got the game, or whenever I asked for the game for Christmas, I can't remember if I asked for other games for Christmas as well that year. Because I know, usually I would, ask for, the latest Frogger game, but yeah, that year I got, oh, that's right, I can't use Tails to do that. That year I got, what am I trying to say here, I'd already gotten the latest Frogger game that year. I think that's what it was. Anyway, 2002, could have been, may not have been. Anyway, so I asked for this for Christmas, because I watched a friend play it, and I thought it looked really cool. Because I knew of Sonic, because of if you've heard me talk about it before, I have the shampoo games. Well, the thing about we'll see. I didn't really know much beyond the shampoo games, and then I remember seeing some game stuff of it, but I remember I asked for this for Christmas because I remember seeing a friend of mine play it, because a friend of mine he liked Sonic a lot when he was younger, and that's kind of what got me into it. But yeah, I was watching him play this at school. I remember this was I probably get sidetracked here, but I remember this was back when having games, having your Game Boy and stuff at school was just it wasn't as big of a deal. There I go, downgrading again with the shields. It's only in the fact that I can't, rings don't magnetize toward me now. I'll just feel like flying sometimes. I just don't know how entertaining that is to watch. To just do this the whole time. For as long as Tails feels like doing it. Yeah, I remember, I was watching a friend of mine play this. And, back when doing that, when we were, we weren't doing any work that, around that time. It was, 2nd or 3rd grade or something. Maybe in 3rd grade? Because I was in 3rd grade in 2002. I just finished in 2003. Yeah. So I was playing that, and I was watching a friend of mine play that, and I was like, okay, this looks pretty cool. I asked for it for Christmas, and I got it, and I was pretty hooked on it. But I used Knuckles. I remember I knew about some of the Sonic. I apologize for the train in the background. That's the joy of living near a train track. It It was a joy. It was actually a joy when I was a kid, because I got to. Because I was obsessed with trains when I was a kid, so I got to like watch trains from just outside my house. Anyway, but anyway, so I was watching my friend play this game. I was like, okay, cool. For Christmas, I got it, and I used Knuckles. I had knowledge, of course, back before I paid attention to what things said, which there was a time where I just did not pay attention to what things said or what the names of things were all the time. I used Knuckles, but I remember seeing Shadow, thinking it's Evil Sonic. Like that was my knowledge on the characters before I paid attention to the names. I said Evil Sonic. Or Dark Sonic, probably Evil Sonic, and then I used Knuckles, thinking, okay, it's a version of Evil Sonic. Anyway, I tried out with the other characters, and then I used Tails, which is essentially this game's easy mode. Because Tails can do this. So if you get stuck somewhere, I mean, you know, depending on where you're at, if you get stuck somewhere, it's like, okay, I'll just fly up to the better area. Or if I accidentally skip something like that, I can just fly over. So I used Tails, and that's how I actually got through the game at first. For a while, it was hard for me to actually get through the game as like Sonic or or Knuckles or Amy. It's easier as Knuckles, but with Sonic is... Well, Amy is pretty much hard mode in this game. But Sonic is like the second hard mode. I guess you could say normal mode. I mean, Knuckles can glide, so like... I guess ranking from hardest to easiest, it would be Amy, Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails. So, like this level, I can't do that much flying. I mean, I can get some places, but like, you know, there's a lot of places that are, you know, things are in the way, or ceilings are in the way, or something. So, well, anyway, yeah, I got through the game at first as Tails, but eventually I beat it as every character. I think my brother, or I think Andrew, beat it with he got closer than I did with like Amy or something. But we both, it was my game, but we both kind of played it. And again, like I've said before, like I didn't really. I wasn't like fully connected with Sonic. I wasn't like fully into the Sonic franchise until like 2004, roughly around there, 2003, 2004. Like I was getting more and more, you know, obsessed with like I said before though. Like there was a time whenever I liked Frogger more than Sonic. But that came from my love of Frog. So, yeah, after I got like Sonic Advance 2, and I started watching the old VHS tapes of the old cartoons, like Sonic Sat AM, as fans refer to it as, and you know, eventually Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, and it was pretty cool. And like I would look up stuff online, like even back in the day, but that was like I had to use a school's computer because I couldn't. Well, my computer didn't really. I can't remember exactly when me and my family got internet, but anyway, so yeah, that's when I like, yeah. Anyway, I've talked about my history so many times with Sonic. But yeah, so as I use Tails, I'm gonna probably get through this pretty fast unless something interrupts me. So. Let's see here. So, oh yeah, one of the subjects I was going to bring up today was that, the Switch is now, the Switch is now 7 years old as of this recording. Is now 7 years old today. I think worldwide. I think it came out worldwide, and I used to think whenever they did this, they were actually getting bigger. Like obviously they made the models bigger, but like or the pixel whatever bigger. But I used to think they were actually getting bigger, but like I think it's just supposed to be like they just look they come closer to the screen. But anyway, yeah, the Switch is now 7 years old, and yep. I love doing stuff like that. Whenever things like that happen. So yeah, the Switch is now 7 years old as of this recording, and it feels weird because, well, it has felt like it's been like a few years. It feels like it's only been like 3 or 4 years since the Switch came out. When it's quite a big difference there. Now, I mean, it's still just a few years old. It's just that it's closer to a decade old now. So in terms of consoles, it's an old man. It's an old person. But yeah, I remember like whenever it came out, and the announcement of it, I thought it looked pretty cool. I knew I was gonna wait a little while before getting it, but a coworker of mine who I didn't really talk to all that much, but like we had bonded because I think like something over Mortal Kombat or something in video games in general, and I remember one time we like, because he was in like a different place than I was in the building that we worked at, and he was yeah. See that they knew that people would try to do that as Tails, so they'd set up stuff like that sometimes. Anyway, so we had like one day, like we both had a Mortal Kombat shirt on. The same shirt, exact same time. No. Anyway, so he kind of like I knew there was like I saw that there was already problems with the Switch, and I was telling him, I was like, I've seen people with problems. He's like, he got his day one. And he's like, I haven't had any problems yet. So I was like, maybe I should. I'm making some good money, at least compared to what I had been, which was like nothing for a while. Before I got that job. So I decided, you know what? I'm making some good money here. Why don't I save up for a Switch? Ooh, I wonder if I can go back and there we go. Just in case. So yeah, I was like, you know what? He's kind of convinced me to look. So I saw that there was a deal. The Switch had been out for like around a month, a little over a month, and yeah, it was out for a little over a month, and I love that. I love that they give you these additional attacks. But anyway, oh shoot, but yeah, so crap. But, sorry, I'm just trying to concentrate on this. There we go. Oh. Anyway, so, I remember, like, and the person convinced me to get a Switch. So I got one. Or I found a deal, where I could pause it and be right back, folks. And I'm back. I was just responding to a couple of things. But anyway. So yeah, I remember, I got the Switch. I actually remember what I was talking about this time. But I found a deal where where like it came with where it was coming out around the time of that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was coming out, which is still 2017. So it had been like almost 2 months at that time since the Switch had come out. So like I was just still waiting a little bit. Little more games came out for it. But I got that. So I got a Pro controller. I remember I pre-ordered the Switch. I pre-ordered the I'm pressing the A button there. But I remember I ordered the I had ordered the Switch, pre-ordered the that bundle from GameStop, and it was coming with actual physical copies of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Zelda Breath of the Wild. So those were my first 2 games. I don't have those copies anymore, but I still have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I like how they had the detail of Tails like swimming. Now I forgot he's not the one who can float on the water, like on top of the water. But yeah. There we go. Anyway. And I remember I got that, and then like I think sometime, like not too long after, I got the not too long after I got like Puyo Puyo Tetris, because I wanted to have like a game that I could kind of quickly pick up and play. Which I mean, technically you could do that with just about any game on the Switch, because it it was one of those systems where you could like put it on sleep mode. Like, you have to, like, fully turn it off if you want it to be, turned off. Anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. So I had a good time. And like, I remember that was a pretty good day because I had made I had people that were friendly to me at work, but, like, I had actually kind of made a friend there. Other than the guy who, convinced me to get a Switch. We didn't really see each other that much. Just the other friend I was talking about was the one I saw her more often. Well, I mean, we basically turned out just to be work buddies. Like, we never talked to each other outside of work, so that's fine. But, anyway. But, like, I made a friend that day, and it was pretty cool. And then I came home, and, like, in the mail, I got the Switch. That was neat. And, it didn't, as far as I could tell, it didn't really have any problems. I mean, other than, like, the original models of the Switch, the launch models were, the battery life was good enough, it just wasn't as good. And I remember, like, I had gotten a newer, or, like, it was the same model, same color controllers, but I gotten a newer Switch model that was, again, the same thing, came in a different looking box, and it had, what do you call it, had a better battery life. It was basically the same thing, except it had a better battery life. I think, like, the screen was, like, a different type of screen. Something about the lighting. So that's what, I guess somehow that made the battery life better. At one point, I had considered getting a Switch Lite because I knew that, like, I would play, even today, a mass majority of the time, I play in handheld mode whenever I play my Switch. But it's knowing that, like, there's that option, of, having this, being able to play, games on the TV, or if I want to record them. So that's something I considered. So yeah, this is a fairly easy boss with Tails. I mean, you have to watch out for, eventually he's going to do that, and also you have to watch out for the falling spikes. Okay, why? I was about to say, I wasn't complaining, but I was about to say, why wasn't I getting hurt by not being in a ball form or something, and then, you know. But anyway. So, yeah, I've had 3 switches so far. And none of them have been from messing up or anything. It's been from, like, the first one was from, I've only experienced, like one time of, like, drifting of the controller. I haven't really had much of a problem with drifting. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying that, like, that won't happen again or whatever, but, like, I haven't really had a problem with drifting. But I mean, I've seen cases where people have had problems with it, so I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it's just like, oh, people are just exaggerating, like you know. Anyway, so but anyway, like I've had 3 switches, and all of them have had purposes for why I got them. Because, you know, my first switch I was upgrading because I wanted to get that better battery life. Even if it was slight, which for some reason it had a better battery life than the Switch Lite, which I find to make no sense. Because it's just like, if you're gonna give the better battery, the Switch Lite has a better battery life than the original model Switch, than the launch model, but it didn't have as good a battery life as the newer model Switch. I can't remember what the Switch OLED is. I've got a Switch OLED now. But I remember I wanted the better battery life. And I also wanted a, but also, like, I remember, it was like I got it for Christmas. I also got that, half a terabyte of storage. Which is pretty good for a Switch. I mean, it doesn't hold every game. It doesn't hold every game I have. But let's see. Yeah, it doesn't hold every single game I have, but it was good enough for me. I think sometime I may try to get a terabyte terabyte storage for the Switch, but I'll have to think about it. I remember at the time I didn't really ask for it because they were a lot more expensive, but also they were more you had to get certain ones, or some would like mess up or something, or mess up the Switch or something like that, and so I didn't get one. But yeah, eventually it was last year, not like kind of late last year, semi late last year. I eventually got a Switch OLED, and I remember I only had enough money to get the Switch itself. Well, you know, like it was a new Switch, but only had enough money to get the Switch itself, and I was trying to get the I was getting it from GameStop, and I would have gotten it with the warranty. And I was gonna also get this thing with Sonic on it, which I eventually did get, but I didn't get the warranty for the Switch. But literally, if I had waited a day, I could have gotten it. But I mean, whether or not I get a warranty, I take good care of my systems. So, like, if things happen to them, it's usually after the warranty's already expired. So it's not a thing where it's like it matters all that much. I always get it just in case, but you know, like with games, you know, they always give me the thing about, you know, you want to protect it for a year or something. I believe it or not, I do occasionally shop at GameStop. I know it's a dying store, though I'm not really sure when exactly it's actually gonna die. Like, because I thought it was just I figure it's on its last legs. It probably still is, but like, I don't know what's going on, because I thought, like, for sure that it was gonna be like on its last legs like a couple of years ago, and like last year was probably gonna be like, okay, we're done, you know, we're just trying to get rid of everything and file for bankruptcy, blah blah blah. But that hasn't happened. Why did I do that? But anyway. Alright, well, 0 rings. But yeah, I don't know what happened, but we still have GameStop. So I'm not really complaining. I mean, GameStop, I get it. Their policies are they're you know, they used to be a really cool store to go to. But I mean, like, sometimes I'll go to a certain GameStop. I won't go to, like, just any. I'll go to the one that's closest to me. And, I'll, you know, I know some of the employees there. And I go there when I have, you know, like, depending on the deals I'm wanting to get. I used to do that a lot as a kid. When I figured out I could do that, I used to do that a lot. Get the shield and then do that to save a little bit of time. Anyway. But yeah, so back to the Switch. Just getting away from the GameStop stuff, but, like, you know, basically I shop there time to time. But the Switch OLED, I remember I got that, but yeah, I've only had 3 Switches, and some people are like, only 3? You mean, you know, blah blah blah. But the Switch, what am I trying to say here? What was I gonna say? I don't know. Anyway, the point is, the Switch is 3 years old. It's 3 years old. I've had 3 Switches. The Switch is 7 years old. See what I mean? It feels like it's been just three or 4 years since the Switch came out, but it's not. It's an old system now. Well, for a game system, it's quote unquote old, not retro, but old. Knuckles, what are you doing, Knuckles? Owie. See if I can. Wait. There we go. I did it. I held on to all these rings. Ow. Wasn't sure what was gonna happen there. Anyway. So yeah, I like the Switch, but there was a point. The Switch has been kind of a mixed bag for me. The Wii U was too, but, like, obviously the Wii U was a mixed bag for everyone, and well, it was mostly on the negative side. Oh yeah, I like doing this right here. Like, kind of getting it near the top and then doing that. Little things amuse me, folks. Anyway. Oh, and obviously as Tails, I can just do this. Skip a majority of the, well, maybe not a majority of the level, but like a majority of this part. So yeah, what I was gonna say was, when the Switch came out, everyone, you know, we still had Virtual Console, like on Wii U and 3DS. It was really cool because, like, the 3DS, with the 3DS, we had NES games, SNES games, well, eventually SNES games, and it could only work on the. They made it to where it could only work on the new 3DS, but I mean, even though the regular 3DS was perfectly capable of running those games. And we all know the reason, though. A lot of us know the reason, though. It was to help sell new 3DS, which I do have. But yeah, the 3DS, you know, we thought for sure that the Switch was gonna have endless possibilities of, which it did. It had endless possibilities of having a Virtual Console. We thought for sure we were gonna get those. We were just kind of waiting for the time when they were gonna announce it. You know, when we were getting the Virtual Consoles. You know, when we were gonna play all these games on the Switch. We were gonna be able to play N64 on the go. We were gonna be able to play GameCube on the go. Oh man, it was gonna be so cool. And then Nintendo comes out not so long after and goes, "Yeah, we're not doing Virtual Console." and people were just like, what? This is one of the worst decisions you could be making right now, Nintendo. So yeah, so eventually we instead got the Nintendo Online subscription service thing for playing old games. And we really haven't... We've had a lot of NES and SNES. We've even had games that like we didn't even think was possible to, like, for licensing issues. For licensing reasons, we never got the Switch, or we never... Anyway, so it's pretty cool to get those games, but like, why did it have to be in the form of a subscription service? And I figure I know the reason. It's so they can get their money without having to, you know, like with those licensed games, they're like, oh, if we have to remove it, we can just... No one bought it, so we just have to remove it from, you know. I still hate the fact that we didn't get a virtual console and instead we got a subscription service thing. And we didn't even get all these games. Like, we do have GBA games, we do now, and we do have N64. You have to pay more for them, but like, we have GBA. You know, we eventually got more. But it's just so dumb. I mean, we also got Genesis games. Again, you have to buy the expansion pass. It's just so dumb. That they could have been printing money with the fact that they could have put a virtual console. So they were pretty much begging people to hack it, even though they were so against hacking it and, you know, all that stuff. Yeah, that's part of the mixed bag, is that like the Switch has the possibility of having so many more games, like available on it, and Nintendo's like, nah, we're not doing that. Now other companies have put out some of those games in the form of like collections and stuff, or, you know, in general on the eShop or whatever it's called, Switch Shop, something like that. It's essentially the Nintendo Switch eShop. But anyway, so the Switch, yeah, and they've had a lot of great games on it, and at the same time they've had, and like, I remember a time when people would get so excited for the ports on the thing, which made me go like, man, really? The Vita had ports, and you were complaining that it was just a port machine. Then the Switch comes along, becomes a port machine, and you're like, oh yeah, ports. But then, you know, in all fairness, the Switch was actually a console on the go, whereas the Vita was like a console on the go, but it wasn't quite a console on the go. The Switch actually is a console on the go. It's just the problem is, more as the years went on, and we got more advanced games on the other systems, but they were also coming to the Switch. You know, they would usually run pretty poorly on the Switch. Usually. Not all the time. Like that, but it also kind of depended on the company. It wasn't really the Switch fault, per se. It was more so the company just being like, nah, just put it on there. If it runs, you know, we'll sell it. It's kind of what, seems like what they did with Mortal Kombat 1 on Switch. Because like that... Well, first of all, Mortal Kombat 11 on Switch wasn't as good as it could have been. But it also had the problem of like having to be online to earn anything. So, like, I remember I got that game, and whenever I found out all that, I sold it not too long after getting it, because that was so stupid. It was like a really, really stupid decision of theirs. It's funny, Warner Bros. Has been making so many games lately to like be like where you have to be online to essentially be online to play them. Like, you could there's a lot of these games where you technically can be offline to play them. It's just you won't get anything hardly. or if at all. Which, I mean, that's also a problem with, well, that was also a problem with Crash Team Racing. But yeah, yeah, that was pretty dumb. But that's pretty dumb that, like, Mortal Kombat 11 and also Mortal Kombat 1 made it to where you have to be online to play towers. You can't be offline and play towers. Like, that was one of the main staples, one of the main offline modes of Mortal Kombat was arcade mode, essentially, you know, towers. And they made it to where you had to be online to play it. So that was pretty annoying. So you can't do the tail swipe with him on this one. But anyway, yeah. So the problem, like, I got it on Switch, Mortal Kombat 11 at first on Switch, simply because it had been so long since there was a Nintendo system with a Mortal Kombat game. So I thought, you know what? Why not? And so that's when I first got it, and then I found out all these problems. And eventually, it seemed like as the updates came along, it got worse, because, like, whenever you do a fatality, it was pretty bad. It, like, slowed down. The sound was kept going, but the picture, it was lagging. So I got rid of that not too long after getting it. I do have it now on, like, I eventually got it digitally on Switch, but I regret doing that because it got worse with the updates. But now I have, like, the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X versions of the game. So like, I got that. You know, I have those. It's a fun game. It's not the best Mortal Kombat game, but it's a fun game. And the fact that you have to be online to, like, earn stuff that like most games from before, or most of the Mortal Kombat games from before, you could just earn offline. They kind of started some of this stuff from Mortal Kombat 10 or Mortal Kombat X, but you know, there goes my ring. Oh, that is one of the most annoying things about this boss fight. Anyway, is that, like, sometimes you lose your rings and they just go towards him, so obviously you can't get it. And I wish you could, like, attack the bottom. Wait. If you're wondering what the hand does, like, it grabs you and, like, gets rid of all your rings. I mean, that's what happens anyway when you get hit, but yeah. And I mean, there are Sonic games also where you where you hold on to some of your rings if you have enough. But no. Ironically, Tails Easy Mode is having a hard time with this. But yeah, so Switch has had a lot of missed opportunities. They've taken advantage of some of their opportunities because, like, over time, it really depends on the developer, though, at the end of the day. It depends on how much work the developer and the publisher lets the developer put into making the Switch port of a certain game, of certain games. Warner Brothers is one of those that will. Warner Bros. They're probably the same type of company that's like, oh, capitalism bad, but then, like, they pull that crap. They're the most money hungry people. Or let me put it this way: a lot of their productions and stuff, a lot of their stuff has, like, anti-capitalist things, but then, like, they work for a company that is extremely. Well, they're more like the greedy side of it. They're definitely the more greedy side of capitalism. But anyway, politics aside, we finally beat the Tails story. But yeah, like, then you have, I forgot exactly who put it on the Switch, who was responsible for the Switch version. And of course, it's usually Tails catching you, but it's the character, but now it's Sonic. And I just always love this because it looks like his tail's just hitting Sonic. Hey, I can fly too. Let's see. So, the Switch, whoever made Portal, the companion collection on Switch, I was so surprised, because, like, the Switch can run, it can run 6th generation games, it can run most 7th generation games, like PS3 and 360 games. It just kind of struggles with, like, PS4 and Xbox One. But I was surprised. I wasn't sure how the Portal companion collection was going to turn out, which has both Portal 1 and 2. I was surprised that the Switch version of the game, both games, ran smoothly. Like, I was surprised by that. As far as I can, like, I've only played through them once, but they played better than the PS3 and 360 versions of the game. I mean, they ran about as well as the, I guess, standard PC versions of the game. Like, it was essentially, it felt like the PC version on the Switch, which that doesn't happen with a lot of those, so that was really awesome. You do have cases like that. But the Switch has just had, they've made decisions with the Switch here and there that just kind of makes me question some things and also makes me happy. But there was a time when I thought about getting rid of the Switch because I didn't play it all that much, and then I thought, you know, I put a ton of hours into Smash Bros, and I think I want to play Smash Bros again, so I think I'll hold on to the Switch. So, I plan on just holding on to it for now, unless there's just a point where I'm just like, man, I'd never play games ever again on here. But as of right now, I'm definitely supporting Nintendo more because they're actually using, not all their IPs, but they're actually using their IPs for the most part. Unlike Sony and Microsoft. Like, yeah. So, I absolutely have a love-hate relationship with Nintendo. Jim Pride. But, by the way, if you're wondering, you can't skip the credits. That's why I'm still watching them. So yeah, that's my Switch tale. That was all over the place. I think this game originally came out in 2001 in Japan, and then 2002 in, like, everywhere else. I think that's how it was. It's like 2001 was also the release of the last Sega System Sonic game. So, yeah. Anyway. So that was my playthrough of Tails. With, yeah, and Sonic Advance 1. Again. This time around. So, join me next time. At some point, I will play as Knuckles. But until then, thanks for watching, and like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more like this, or any other of my types of other videos I make. And I hope you all, thank you for watching, and hope you all have a great day or night.